Hey everyone, I'm Kim Adams, and welcome to this discussion of good versus bad debt. I had so much response from the last Facebook Live that I did on debt, so I thought that it struck a chord, and so I wanted to talk a little bit more about it. And I'm actually thinking of creating a course, a short course just to take people through how to get out of debt fast, how to set up a plan to get out of debt fast, and then implement it. So stay tuned for that and let me know if that would be something you'd be interested in. So today, what's good debt versus bad debt? And I'll preface this conversation by saying that debt is a very personal thing, and people have such varying emotions and feelings about it. You know, you may have this feeling that you don't want any debt, so you may have this big aversion to taking on any debt, and being debt-free is totally on your radar and something you really aspire to. But you might be different, and you might not be like that. So you might be okay with taking on debt. And so I want to talk a little bit about what most people would consider good debt. So in my opinion, if you are investing, if you're taking on debt to buy an asset, especially an income generating asset, I would consider that good debt. So for example, you buy a mortgage or you buy a home and you take on a mortgage. Most people would not consider that bad debt necessarily. Of course, you get into so many other issues with that. And we had a huge financial and mortgage crisis not that long ago, about 10 years ago. So buying beyond your means in that situation isn't advised either. But let's say a mortgage is something that most people are comfortable with. On the other hand, other types of debt, people have different opinions about it. So what feels icky to you? What really is bothering you with respect to your debt? You know, for one person, student loan debt is really bothersome, but for someone else, it was a way to, pay for college, and it got them their education. So it's not as onerous to some other people. But there does seem to be a trend in this country where people have more debt than they really should, or more debt than they feel comfortable with. And so getting to the underlying reason of why you have more debt than you're comfortable with is really the first task. And, a lot of times it seems to come down to underlying emotional issues as to why you may have more debt than you want. Are you trying to keep up to a certain level, to a certain standard of living, just to feel good about yourself? I mean, that's an emotional problem, right? That's something you need to work on. Do you have debt because it's making you kind of balance yourself? So in other words, when people have underlying issues or battles with people, they tend to have this feast or famine that happens with their money. And many times taking on debt will help even out the playing field. So I make money, I have assets, but that feels too uncomfortable for some reason, so I'm going to take on this debt to kind of even out my balance sheet. That's another thing. So getting to the underlying issues, that's really where I start when I work with my clients. It's helping them uncover those underlying issues on why they have debt or debt they feel uncomfortable with. The other thing I want to say too is that having debt or having the ability to get a loan and get a mortgage and get a line of credit is a good thing sometimes. Hey, Carol. If you have a good credit score, that's good. That's good. And the ability to get loans and to be qualified for something is really a good thing. And one of the things that I run across a lot is people having a lot of fear about investing in themselves or taking out any type of debt. They're really traumatized. And a lot of times that goes back to how you were raised too, your early programming. I have clients where their parents came from the old school, of if you can't afford it, you don't buy it, you don't take on any debt at all. And there's also, investing philosophies that have to do with debt. For example, if you have a loan that's at a low interest rate, but you're making more in the stock market or in your investments, it doesn't make sense to pay off that debt. So there's some investing strategies that come into play too with whether to pay off debt or whether to retain what you have. But sometimes people have this attitude about debt, like I can't take on any. And so sometimes it's early childhood programming, it's how you were raised that dictates how and if you're going to take on any debt. And one of the things this can come into play, and one issue you may have, especially if you're a business owner and you need to invest either in yourself or in your business. If you have this squeamishness about taking on any debt, you may have problems. I run into a lot of consultants and coaches who really do need to invest in themselves. Highly successful people invest in themselves a lot. So if you want to play a bigger game, you are going to have to do the same thing. You're going to have to find a way to invest in yourself and get around like-minded people if that's where you want to be. I can tell you I did that several years ago. I would do it again in a heartbeat. I knew I had to be around more successful people to get where I wanted to go. I had to be around those like-minded, forward-thinking people. So yes, it took me investing in myself in big money, in big ways. I spent a lot of money. Could have bought a house here in Pittsburgh for what I invested. But I would do it all over again because I met some great people. It helped further my career and my business way more than if I had not. So I challenge you to think about, how you feel about debt. Do you have these really extreme views on it? Are you careless with it on one end, or are you super conservative with it on the other end? And so it's something that is a big issue for a lot of people. Most people, I would say, have more of the debt problem, having too much debt, and they're worried about paying it off. So stay tuned. I'm going to do a web class soon. I may do it next week or the week after, just to talk about this whole issue because it seems to be a hot topic for a lot of people. And I'm going to create a system just to help you get out of debt faster, show you what the snowball effect is by just taking an additional amount that you can put towards your first loan, how you could speed up the process in getting debt free, or at least reducing your debt to a comfortable level. So that'll be great. Anyway, it's been awesome being with you. Enjoy these Money Talk Mondays with you. If you're watching this not in Facebook, then come over to my Facebook group called the Total Wealth Entrepreneur if you're a business owner. We do fun things there too. Anyway, happy Monday and hope you have an awesome week, and I'll talk to you soon.